Lance, I was curious, going over the film review, just what were some things you saw defensively, and then on the flip side, what were some things you saw good that you liked?
Well, I guess you're asking more defensively where our breakdowns occurred and things like that. You know, multifaceted, really, to be honest. Some misalignments, missed assignments. Really, from the outset, we need to be better. We addressed that today. Again, we're on the higher end of missed tackles. Like I said, misalignment, and I think, as I said after the game, I think we got tentative and played some soft in some areas. I think our effort level has been, and our strain and pursuit levels have been better, and it has to be better moving forward. All those things kind of led to a tough day, I think, on that side. And again, making sure we understand what we're supposed to do. There wasn't schematically, there wasn't like a bunch of different things put into the game plan. So, but we all have to own that, starting from the head coach on down. And I think today, going out there, that our guys responded. Again, individually, I think we had some really good efforts of some guys, and I thought, especially the second half, even though we didn't get stops, I think as a whole we played better as a football team and responded. I don't know if we wore down early. A lot of snaps on that side of the ball, and part of that can be misleading, John. Is we score on a one-play drive, and then we go 3 and out. So you go like that, and you run 4 plays in a quarter, and your other guys are out there, and that's disappointing. But it's again, I think our guys are determined to put it back on track.
I saw Scott Frost said this morning that their quarterback status is up in the air. I just didn't know, how did you guys prepare for that, and what did you see from Central Florida on film?
Yeah, I didn't see that about the quarterback situation. I don't know if that's injury wise or just performance wise, but they've played some other quarterbacks this year, early in the year, it appears. Again, Scott Frost is an excellent offensive mind. He's had successful offenses at UCF in the past, as well as his coordinator days and as head coach at Nebraska. They're going to play fast. They've recruited well, like many people in today's area, replenishing rosters due to multiple reasons. I think they've forming that roster the way they want it to be, with excellent team speed at the skill positions. I think athletically on the edge, they've got us 2 good edge players, athletically, lengthwise, everything that match up to a lot of the better players that we've gone against so far. And again, that'll be a huge challenge down there.
Lance, I think Jalen leads, they're second in the nation in passing touchdowns. Is that something that you're surprised by at all?
Say that again.
I think he's second in the nation in passing touchdowns this year. 16. I think he has more than last year.
Okay. Oh, really? I wasn't aware of that. Probably didn't read my notes they provided for me, but I wasn't aware that he had that many and that high. But now that you mention it, probably, is that surprising to me?
Yeah.
I don't know if the word would be surprised. Pleased would be. I think we had the potential to do that. I guess to surpass, last year at this time, we, much as we're disappointed this week, and everything, we were really in a frustrated point last year, a lot of different ways, and disappointed. So I think we felt we had the ability to be explosive. I think some of those big plays, like our first play, and both Emmanuel's touchdowns and things, giving us that explosiveness that we desire. But as a whole, I probably the thing that I'm most pleased with is really the amount of different guys that are contributing in the receiving area for us. That gives us confidence to spread the ball around and do things and not be locked in on one guy.
Yeah, and with the high shot status, what exactly is happening there? And what's the injury? I think you mentioned it before. Is it something you've dealt with before?
It's slightly different than what he's had before. It's not a reoccurrence from that. Something that had slowed him earlier this year and is now kind of magnified itself. And not really sure a timeline there yet right now. But so what we essentially did was the guys that were out for last week, I know you guys will keep asking all these questions. So to try to be as consistent and fair for everyone involved, including our program, I want to try to, develop a way on these days that we give you as best we can of where it's at, and really kind of just leaving it as really how it ended on Saturday until we start progressing till we have to do it on Wednesday for real. So, okay. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Hope everyone moving forward can understand that's kind of what we'll try to do.
I guess just to follow up on that, then, you mentioned you learned more about Deshaun yesterday.
Yeah, I'm still learning there. So, like I said, he did not practice today. Okay.
And then also, I guess this is Scott's first year at UCF, but he's been there before. You mentioned Nebraska. How much do you look back at past stops of his, or do you feel like 5 games or 4 games, whatever it is enough to take a look at?
Well, yeah, like everyone, I guess I can answer that generally because this is the second coach that has returned to their former place of employment. But also within those new staffs, they have new coordinators, whether it be the head coach calling the offense or coordinator. So when they put those people together, we've gone back and watched everything. If a coordinator has gone against us at somewhere else, we'll go back and watch that. We'll watch other things, and so we'll watch as much as we can. So obviously, their 4 games so far, we've watched those. We go back and yeah, I don't know if the guys went all the way back to his UCF days, but we look back at Nebraska things and similarities and things like that. Okay.
Lance, I know you played at Mizzou, but that's relatively close in terms of travel.
Mm-hmm.
Does this have a different feel, a different approach for how you guys handle a road game?
We talked a little bit about it to our leadership group. Talked about as a staff. Obviously, our Friday will be different. It'll be a little bit earlier to get them in the building than we have all the rest of the year. But with it, then you lose the hour in travel, all those things, and then once we get to the hotel, it'll be a format that we've used before. So, I think once we get there, we'll kind of fall into that routine. Try to give them a little extra time in the morning because of the time change, so we can get than we normally would wake up because it's a 7:30 kick versus a 6:30 here. So we try to adapt it and make a few templates on different kickoff times depending on how we do it, and try to stay consistent. I don't know if it's all what you're looking for, but it's we don't philosophically. Just for me, I've been a part of things where you have plane issues, so I still want to try to take off as close to midday as possible, noon or whatever, especially on a longer trip, so that if there is anything, because I've been part of a disaster where a couple of them where you don't, your plane has issues and you don't roll in till after midnight and you got to get up and play and all those things. So want to try to make sure we give ourselves time if there is anything and then still stay in routine.
We didn't get to ask you about Blake Harold on Saturday very much either. He really stood out. I'm sure he did on film too. Do you point at guys like that, veterans who just continue to bring it?
Yeah,
can that help the defense as a whole?
It can. We do all the GPS tracking, all that, and his explosive movements were off the chart. Led the team. He plays extremely hard. He's a guy that Mondays and Tuesdays are pretty tough on us, and when he shows up here, but the kid doesn't miss, and he keeps working. And if you have a chance to visit with Blake, he's not the most outgoing guy there is out there. I don't know if he gives you many quotes, but he just likes playing ball and working his tail off, and this program really appreciates him, and I know his teammates do as well.
After the game on Saturday, you talked about how you guys didn't play confidently enough in coverage. How do you go about instilling that confidence, and I guess to what extent does it have to do with scheme, and to what extent does it have to do with individual player execution?
Well, it's some of each on some things. A lot of it has to do with trusting technique and assignment responsibilities, having your eyes where they need to be, playing the proper technique, and of course then athletically you have to go do and execute those things. But there's a culmination of a lot of those different things that were major breakdowns for us on Saturday, and again, a lot of the things that we challenge our guys is we got to have better practice habits this week. Okay, we got to have things that are consistently um, reinforced, and they have been for a long time. We just got to make sure that attention to detail and sense of urgency about going about that kind of helps those things, and let guys play a little bit more confidently. I think after quarterback got in good rhythm and did some things, and I think all those things compounded themselves. But like I said, we went through some film things, and there were correctable things before the ball was snapped and after the ball was snapped, just by some better attention to detail that I think that will be addressed and we'll be better at next week.
You guys played Jalen Todd some at safety this week. He's on the depth chart at Hawk. What's kind of the thought process behind that, and what did you see from him at safety?
Yeah, well, if you remember last year, he played some nickel and did some things. So he played it with Mason being down. And Saeed got banged up, and we kind of looked at options there and Devin being down for the week, or for the first half, I should say. I apologize. What were our options? So repping guys, we gave him those reps, and he did a nice job. So again, as we want to continue to stimulate competition in the secondary, now you've got more pieces to play with, so to speak. Of like if you're getting better play from at the corner position holistically, then Jalen can go in there. If it's more from the safety position or whatever it is, and if Saeed or Mason aren't getting it done, you've got another guy that has experience doing it. So I like the flexibility. Jalen Todd's played good football for us. It's extremely important to him. He works hard at it, and again, I think sometimes in the bigger picture of it, it gives him a better sense of the defense and how it comes together, that I think can help him be a better player and a better leader for us.
You guys drilled all offseason on finishing, on situational football, all those things. Is it stay the course on that stuff, or is it, do you kind of look at it and say, hey, this may need to change a little bit because maybe there have been a few issues, or how do you focus on that?
I'm not sure exactly how we would change it. The only way we would change it would be not practicing it, and that would make a lot of sense. And so, again, you'd like it to be executed better. I mean, you can watch NFL games and college games all over, and you can sit there and, critique and analyze how everybody does in the heat of the battle. And I wish we could do better. And there were things in those areas that, again, that we can do better. And I don't want to ever say, again, there's not going to be a particular player, there's not going to be a particular coach. It starts with the head coach. But we've done situational stuff. You wish that it could be magical. Like I said, I don't know if I said this after the game. We've talked a lot defensively, and I understand why. But right now, offensively, we got to be better in the red zone. Okay, we are not scoring enough touchdowns in the red zone. Now, we got a lot of touchdowns, and we got enough touchdown passes, but we got to be more efficient. And right now, we haven't been as great on third down as we have maybe in the past. So those things, a culmination of stuff. We turned the ball over and had a missed snap and things down there that weren't real fluid. So as a head coach, I looked at it as, we better just score a dang touchdown. I can't worry about it. Hey, let's run the ball one more time, because somebody probably is going to say, and our analytics people will send me probably something later today, that we should have run the ball, made them burn another timeout, and then try to score either on third down or something. That definitely went through my head. But at the same time, I also know that it hasn't been as fluid and easy to pick and choose when he can dial up touchdowns. So let's try to go get it and win the game, and let's try to get a stop. So if that puts you under the microscope, then I guess that's what I sign up for. But that's the whole rationale of the situation. Execution. Again, I'm not going to go on Trey Lathan or anything, but if he makes another interception like he did the week before, we wouldn't even be talking about that, right? I mean, we're close, and that's football.
You talked about all the different pieces helping in the passing game. Bowden Gruen had a terrific game, and Keaton Kubeka had maybe his best game as well. What are you seeing from those two guys?
Very good points on both guys. I mean, again, I know you watch that film pretty well yourself, and you go through it. It's by far Keaton's best game as a Jayhawk. Again, on the flip side, there's a guy that makes a couple catches, made some good catches early, and I think his last one on the boundary on our side was about as confident of a route I've seen him run. And you can see a guy that has success gain confidence and play faster, and he did that. And again, seeing him get some catches builds confidence from Jalen and the other quarterbacks that we can be successful with him on the field. Bowden Gruen's been a real fine addition to this team for when we had to go back to the portal after a defection in the summer. We were hoping for the best. Didn't know with him coming off injury what we'd really get, and really was hoping for depth. And right now he's putting himself in a good position to be a starter. And he's extremely smart. He's picked things up. I mean, that adjustment on that touchdown catch was really a cool thing to watch. It was a thing of beauty watching him adjust his body and make that play. And he continues to gain confidence. Jalen, again, has it in him. And again, he played the most snaps of the tight ends. And, we'll see where that rotation takes us next week.
How do you evaluate where the run game is, and what do you think is needed to get it more consistent?
Yeah, consistency again. Again, when you run the ball, there's a lot of different things that happen with the 5 to 6 guys that are up there in the breakdowns. There's again consistency in communication, understanding, blocking movement better, doing things like that. In the RPO game, there's some decisions that we can make. Jalen made some things happen with his feet. I think it took us a while to get going. If you remember last week at this time, I talked about how good their front was. With or without Carlino, that's a good defensive front seven, and they showed that. And they were physical, and they were more physical than us. And it took a little while to get going, but I did think that, by the end we were running the ball with the consistency that we would need. But the other part is, I go back to that thing I said about 10 minutes ago, is we didn't run many plays. And anytime you go 3 and out, let alone a one play drive, you're still kind of searching for the feel of what's going to work against those people. And the other part of it was they gave us more 4-man front versus the 3-man front than we anticipated, especially early in the game. So some of that took some adjusting in schematics and what we truly repped, and that's a credit to them. And the teams that mix up 3-man, 4-man fronts, it's a balancing act of how many things you're going to get practice during the week to do well.
Hey, Coach, don't want you to give away the game plan here, but maybe is there a message or a theme that you're trying to impart on the team this week?
Well, I think I've tried to hit a little bit of it. Is again, we've got to get back to great practice habits and a sense of urgency about doing doing our jobs with the way it should be. And again, there's not a magic potion to this. It's not something that we haven't been able to do. We've got to be able to have consistency Monday through Friday and be excited for kickoff on Saturday. So I think if we can continue to take some of those things and as we get on the plane Friday, I think we'll have a better showing on Saturday.
One more, Jordan.
Lance, Bryce Foster mentioned last week the efforts that he's made with Coach Paulsa to improve his own play this season. I wondered what you've seen from him, and if those sort of conversations that he initiated with Darryl are things that are common or maybe something about.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys in our program will again, depending on how they play and what's going on, and they come in. Sometimes a guy will come in and if he's a rotational guy, ask about playing time or what he needs to do, and I always say it's not for that type of player in that situation, it's not why aren't I playing, it's what do I need to do to play more. And then the coach should be able to give you, you need to improve on this, this, and this, and you give tangible things to work on. Sometimes a player will come in and know that it's he's not playing to his desire or our desire might be. And in that conversation, the same thing. We need to be, concentrating a little bit more on these type of things in practice, And Bryce is a guy, as you know, missed, almost the first 2 weeks of camp. And there are some lingering from that time that limits him early in the week. He's a tough son of a gun and works extremely hard for us, but sometimes he doesn't get as much early week work as we would like. And sometimes, so he's got to make sure that mentally he's getting those reps so that when he comes in that he's physically able to execute what we need him to. But it's good to see that he feels he can go to his position coach, talk about that. Today's a tough day, win or lose, because you got to own what's on film, and that's part of college football. And again, and I kind of reference and kind of going off this now slightly, but if we would have won that game and we get a stop, we would be talking about the same issues with our guys, except your questions might be slightly different because it would be a lot more positive about winning a football game probably. But we still, win or lose, have these issues that get identified and have to be addressed. So we're going to keep plugging along. I appreciate our guys' efforts. Our staff is still diving in and grinding, and we know it'll be a big challenge in Orlando.